Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Something a little bit different today, as most of you have seen who've regularly watched my videos. I've recently taken part in the West Highland Way. I did it over 7 days in the second week in May, and I thought for this video I'd give you a little rundown of what I took in my backpack here. And give you some ideas of if you're going to do the West Highland Way or any long distance trail really, what you can take or what you need to take or what you don't need to take, or just so a bit of a rundown. I'm not going to review everything, I'll tell you what everything is and who it's made by, but this is what I took. As I say, you might take something completely different. So what we'll do is we'll start on the outside of the pack and what was in my little chest bag. And then we'll work from the outside inwards, and I'll just dig everything out, show you what it is, tell you how I pack my bag, and hopefully you'll gain something from it. So what we'll do is we'll start now with the outside of the pack. As many of you will see, I have the OMM chest pack that goes on the front of my pack like so, and mainly this is for keeping my camera in it, because obviously I take pictures and little videos. So the camera needs to be handy, and I always find it's really handy. It just sits in that pouch and I can get it out and put it back in really quickly. Also in this pack, where I usually carry some sweets, various different types. Me and Mossy love eating sweets, so we'll go through at least a couple of packets of sweets between us a day. So there's always some sweets in there. I had some little mini Vaseline. That fortunately I never needed to use, but what I did need to use is I've got a lipstick for chap lips kind of thing, so I use that quite regularly actually. And then I had a pen in there, and also the Harvey Maps West Highland Way. The route is very well waymarked, so you don't really need a map, but I just like to see where we are, and I also made notes of where we stopped and where we had breaks, and I just made a note on the map, so for future reference and for when I'm looking back in years to come, I can see where we stopped, had breaks, had brews, had beers, had meals, met people, and that. So that's just sat in the pack. As I say, not really needed for navigation, but so that's what's in there. So we'll put that to one side. Right, the pack. My pack for camping is the 3FUL Gear Kidian Pro. Love this pack. It's frameless, but you can fit the world and its oyster in this pack. It's absolutely fantastic. Massive hip belt pockets, two big side pockets, mesh on the back, with some bungee cord. So we'll go through what's in the side pockets. So the customary £1 Primark flip-flops, really handy for when you get to camp. Just take your trail runners off, put them on, give your feet some fresh air. So that's in there. I do have a backpack rain cover. I don't like using it, to be honest. I prefer, as you'll see when we get into the bag, I prefer to have everything in dry bags. And dry bags and bit pack liners, and if the outside of the pack gets wet, so be it. It'll soon dry when the sun comes out. So I do carry one of these, but don't really like using it, so I try not to. So it's in there for show really. Then if we go to the other side pocket, I've got a large bottle of water. Now I would say on the West Highland Way, you don't need to carry a lot of water. There is literally water on tap all the way around the trail. The reason I've got a big bottle is it's nice to fill up when you get to the campsite, to fill up so you've got water, so you don't need to keep going backwards and forwards to the tap all the time. So that's what that is. Then on the chest strap, I've got my drinking water, which is what I top up all the time, and that's just what I use to drink out of. So that goes in a little OMM chest strap pocket. Okay, So as I say, so that's for my drinking water. Right, the side pockets, massive side pockets on this pack. Massive side pockets, you can fit so much stuff in here. And this one, I've got some suntan lotion. Believe it or not, it was sunny in Scotland for the whole week, so that got used on a regular basis. We've got some smidge to keep the wee beasties away, which again got used a lot. I've got my spork in there, and I've got some squeezy juice just to add a bit of flavour to the water if I wanted to. So that's what is in that hip pocket. And again, there's so much more I could have got in that hip pocket. They are huge. In the other one, we have got, should I say, I've got my 0.6 litre Catadin B3 filter, which did use some of the time, not all the time, because sometimes the water was quite fast flowing, so I just tended to drink it straight from the source. But I did have my filter in that pocket. Midge net, I think I had to use it once when we were packing the tent away on the second morning. Yeah, so I used that once, but fortunately we had a bit of breeze all week, so tended to not be bothered by the midges. And then last but not least, I did take my InReach Mini, just in case I needed to use it, but for the best part of the 96 miles you have got a phone signal, so that's not really needed. And to be honest, I didn't turn it on at all throughout the whole 7 days, so I took it just in case. But if I was to do the West Highland Way again, I would probably leave that at home. So yeah, but I did take it just in case. And that's it for the hip pockets. Then on the back, in the pack, I had my walking poles. I used the Durston X Mid tent, which is a trekking pole tent. So did need to take the walking poles. I only actually used them for, I think, the second day when we were going up and down Conic Hill. Other than that, I didn't use the poles, but I did need to take them for my tent. Then in the mesh pocket, I've got this is a brilliant bit of kit. Got this from Amazon. It's quite heavy, but it's a chargeable, solar powered battery bank. So whilst you're walking and the sun's out, or it doesn't have to be bright sunny, but it's taking a charge, so it just keeps it topped up. And then inbuilt into the back of it, you've got when I can get the thing out, you've got an iPhone charger and an iPhone cable, so you don't have to bother with cables. You've got USB-C. You've got USB-C. So you don't really need to take get any cables. And then in there you've got the 2 USBs and some charging points as well, so when it does need. But I had that fully charged before I went. I had it topped up by the sun all the time, and I didn't have to recharge that at all in 7 days. So as I say, that was from Amazon. I'll put the link in below. I think it was about 40 quid. Heavy, great bit of kit. Love that, absolutely love it. Brilliant for long distance trails. And then here at the bottom, in a waterproof stuff sack, I've got my lightweight waterproof OM waterproof jacket. So that weighs absolutely nothing at all, and it's waterproof and stuffs away, so let's see, just encapsulates absolutely nothing. So took that. I risked not taking my waterproof trousers. It paid off. The forecast for the whole week was meant to be really good, no chance of rain. So I decided not to bother with waterproof trousers. You'll see in a bit, I was decided to wear shorts. So I thought if the shorts get wet, they'll soon dry, my legs will soon dry. So I didn't bother with waterproof trousers. So I took my lightweight waterproof jacket though. And then in here, I've got a lightweight pair of gloves. Never even needed to use them. a buff and a woolly hat. Again, never needed to use them. So they were just kept at hand at the front of the pack in a stuff sack if needed. So that's it for the outside of the pack. Oh sorry, no it's not. On the back, obviously this is a frameless pack. So I've got a sit mat here that I just use to keep the pack directly off my back. And that's handy for sitting around at campsite. And I also, a couple of the campsites, there was a bit stony and twiggy underneath. So I use that as a bit of extra protection under my sleep mat. Just to try in the hope that it would stop any punctures, which it did. So that is it for the outside of the pack. So what I'll do now is we'll delve in and I'll show you what's actually inside. Right, so let's get these out of the way. Don't need them. Let's get into the pack. So it's a roll top pack. So it's got a strap that just cinches over there. 2 clips on the side. And then it just rolls up. So there is a kind of a mesh pocket which you can see there. In there I just keep a few little bits. So I've got some pegs to hang you if you do any washing, anything like that. We've got some spare shoelaces, which never need to use spare shoelaces, but I did actually use them one point to create a little washing line to hang some washing that I've done up. So that's in there, and there's some tissues in there as well. And then here we've got a damp sponge which is used to take any moisture off the tents in the morning, which 2-3 mornings there was. We did actually stop at on some days and to dry the tents out. So that's a sponge. So that's in the top pocket. Then in the very top, rolled up and in a pack liner, I have my tent, which as I say is the Durston X-Mid trekking pole tent. So that packs up really, really small. So that goes in a pack liner in the top. And my tent pegs, and then I made a choice before I left to leave the little flex tail electric pump behind, one less thing to charge up. So I took my air sac to blow up my mat. To be honest, I'd have probably if I had to do it again, I'd take the pump. Just blows it up a bit quicker, and it probably would have I wouldn't have had to charge it anyway. So if I was to do it again, I would leave that behind and I would take the little mini flex tail pump. And as I say, that goes in a pack liner. So it's just that protection of if it was to rain. Then next up down in another pack liner, I do have my in dry sack, my electrical. So I've got a spare power bank there which I didn't need. So if I was to do it again I probably wouldn't take that, and all the various cables for charging stuff up. So that weighs quite heavy. Head torch that I took, didn't need, and a light for the tent. So that was in the electrical bags. So that's that. Next was in another dry bag was my camping mug for brews, my towel for having showers at the campsites, toiletry first aid bag. So we've got first aid bag in there with a knife, some toilet wipes, some deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, razor. I wear contact lenses, so I kept my contact lenses in there, some shampoo, some toilet paper, but we were on campsite, so toilet paper and all that, so that was probably a bit of overkill, but you never know. So I did take it, used pretty much most things in there. And in here is my OEX gas stove, gas is inside. For my next long distance trail, that is something I'm going to replace. I'm going to purchase a lightweight aluminium alcohol stove just to try and reduce the weight, because that is quite heavy with the gas. So brilliant bit of kit, but I think you can reduce the weight by getting an aluminium, the alcohol stove for the next outing. So that was in that. And again, that's my stuff sack. Then we've got food. So in here we've got coffees, some protein bars. I did take 4 of the dehydrated camping meals, because I didn't know what the score was with food along the way. There is loads of places to eat and drink along the way, so didn't really. I did use them, but I mainly used them just pretty much to lighten the pack. They aren't really needed, to be honest. I would probably say take maybe 1 or 2. 4 was a bit overkill, and then obviously you've got the sachets of coffee. We always had a morning brew, but on most mornings we could either get a breakfast shortly after leaving the campsite or at the campsite, and evening meals again. There was always places to go and have an evening meal, or even having a decent meal at the middle of the day and then just snack at night. So yeah, so I would take a couple of meals next time, probably not 4. But certainly the coffees are always good time. It's nice to have a brew in the morning. So that's the food bag. And then so they all went in this pack liner. So it's double protection for if it rains. And in this one, I've got my clothes that I took for the week. So I wore on a daily basis, I took 3 t-shirts, 2 spare and 1 that I was wearing. So I always wore the customary cap to keep the sun off. I wore a lightweight t-shirt. I think this was from Mountain Warehouse, and the other 2 were Dare to Be. Really good. You wash these and they dry so quickly. So I recommend that bit of kit. As I say, Mountain Warehouse. These were a cheap pair of shorts, I think from Temu. I took the lining out and then I wore them on a daily basis. These are brilliant. I recommend these for anybody doing a long distance trail. Toe socks, absolutely fantastic. So you stick, bit of a pain to get on sometimes, but really good them, and I didn't come close to getting any form of blisters or sores on my feet. So toe socks, really recommend toe socks. So that was what I wore: t-shirt, shorts, toe socks. I think in the pack I did have a lightweight mid layer that I just kept at the top of the pack just in case it got chilly and I needed to put that on, but I never had to. It was t-shirts and shorts all the way this year. So that was what I wore on a daily basis. And then I use trail runners. Love the trail runners for long distance trails. These are really light. If they're not waterproof, but if they get wet, they quickly dry. And these were, or are, the Saucony Peregrine 15s. Really recommend them. Nice and bright and loud. Really comfortable. As I say, no issues with any sore feet or blisters or anything like that. So well recommend them. Saucony Peregrine 15s. You can get them in less bright colours if you really want. And then in my clothes bag, we had 2 spare pairs of underpants. So I was 3 in total. 1 I was wearing, 2 spares. Really lightweight pair of Adidas shorts for wearing in the evening. I did take a pair of tights. So I thought they could either, if it was chilly during the day, I could wear them walking, or if not, it was still chilly in the evening, so I wore them for sleeping in. That kept me really warm. As I say, two spare tops, three in total. One that I was wearing, two spares. They're Dare to Be's, really nice t-shirts, and really, as I say, really lightweight, and they dry very quickly if you want to wash them. Then I had a Rab hoodie, which again I just wore with the black Adidas shorts in the evenings for going down the pub or what have you. A spare pair of proper normal socks. They came quite handy for sleeping in, so I slept in them. And then the only other thing in here is the 4-class MT100 puffer jacket, which stuffs into its own pocket. Perfect. I've got two of these. I've got the 500, which is the winter one. This is the 100, which is the slightly lighter weight one. For summer months, really great bit of kit that. 4-class, definitely recommend. So that was the clothing I took for a week, and it worked a treat, to be honest. I had no issues. I'd say I wouldn't be able to leave any of that behind, and I probably wouldn't need to take anything more, not for the time of the year that we do it. So that was the clothes. So I'll get them out of the way. Again, in the stuff sack within pack liners. So that was my dry bag pack liners, my double protection, which is why I don't really bother with rain covers. And then the only other thing left to show you, stuff at the bottom of the pack. Stuff at the bottom of the pack is, I just find this difficult to get out, is my sleep system. Again, in a dry bag, in a pack liner, stuff at the bottom. This is the first time I've actually not packed the sleeping bag in its pack, and just stuffed it in, and it works a treat. Fills out the bottom of the bag really well. So that's something that I will be doing all the time in future. So in here we've got the 4-class little pillar, inflatable pillar. I think a lot of people have got these. Cheap, does a job. Which reminds me, that cover needs washing because it stinks. And then we've got my Big Agnes Rapide SL sleeping pad. Love this, really good. Pack's pretty small, as you can see. Yeah, nice bit of kit. And as I say, I used to put the sit mat underneath that just for a bit of extra protection. Okay, so yeah, I well recommend that. And then last but not least is my sleeping bag. This is the OEX Fathom EV300. Good sleeping bag. I've never been cold in it really yet. It's only 3 seasons. I wouldn't like to take it out in minus temperatures in winter, but I don't do much camping in the winter. So this is great bit of kit. Does work perfectly for me. Lightweight. It's not down, so it's synthetic, but yeah. So, and that's it really. That was all I carried on my back for a week on the West Highland Way. As I say, I'm not going to review any of it. It works for me. There's probably a couple of things maybe that I could leave out next time. As I say, the Garmin InReach. But I would say, I did all right. There was nothing I was regretting not having that I'd left behind, and I don't think there was really, other than maybe a couple of those dehydrated meals. I probably didn't need 4, 2 would have done. But other than that, yeah, that's my kit. I hope that's helped anybody. Anybody's got any questions, put them in the comments below. It was never meant to review, just if you're interested what was in that pack that you saw me lugging around on the videos. All that remains for me to say, if you get a chance to do the West Highland Way, please do it. It's fantastic. If you want decent weather, just give me a shout, I'll get it booked in for you. That's 3 long distance trails now I've done with Mossy, and we've had absolutely perfect weather every time, so I'm sure at some point our luck's going to run out. I'm sure at some point I will need to pack the waterproof trousers and not get away with just a little light waterproof jacket. But yeah, so that's everything. As I say, I hope it was helpful. Give us a shout if you want any questions asked. And all that remains to be seen is, if you haven't watched the videos, please pop over and watch them. You'll see some fantastic views, and we shall see you out on the next adventure. So take care everyone, and we'll see you again out in the hills very soon.